Good morning, customer care. Happy Friday. It is September 27th. Where did September go? Flash. Lots of good stuff and important stuff to cover, so I'm going to get right into it today. Touching on some things that went out early this week, the open quotes. So I learned that in the branches, typically people would run these reports and they would keep tabs on their open quotes, which makes total sense to me, right? I wanted to make it easy for the customer care group. So for now, anyway, on Mondays, I will be generating an open quote report for each of you individually, which I started this past Monday. Really looking to you to use your best judgment in terms of how you use this data. I know I've learned that in the past, the branches would rely on a specific dollar amount, but my feeling is if you're keeping on top of this quote report every week, that it'll be manageable and that you should be able to keep that report relatively cleaned up or keep your quotes relatively cleaned up regardless of dollar amount. So again, use your judgment. The idea is that you are looking at the quotes from the previous week and making sure that, especially in the cases where a customer said that they would send us an email confirmation, an order confirmation, and they failed to do that we're being responsive to that and proactive and reaching back out to these customers and not having these quotes and orders fall through the cracks. Also, I would strongly encourage you to use that quote status and every quote you enter, because when you run this report and when I send it to you, when that field is completed, it kind of tells you the story and it's super informative for not only you, but for other people looking at your quotes. So that's the open quote report. Please let me know if you have any questions. And just to repeat, for now, I'm going to send those out on Monday with the expectation that you look at those and clean up and keep on top of the quotes that you've entered from the previous week or modified. I know some people, you might be the last person to actually modify that quote, okay? I sent an email out about Wanda's role, so I just wanted to touch base quickly on that. We're developing job descriptions, not only for this tiered program that I've talked, I think, with everybody about, hopefully, but also, looking at Wanda's role as a supervisor and what that might entail. So we'll continue to develop that, but just wanted to make sure that everyone on this team was aware of what her role is currently and what you can rely on her for. And on that topic, she's actually not in the Londonderry office next week. She is going to be working remote for the week next week, but everything on that list still applies to Wanda's role next week. So I just wanted to make sure I emphasize that she is just as accessible. She will still be able to help process queue calls, deal with escalations, research any customer issues, work with manufacturing, so on, etc. So even though she's remote next week, she is still very much doing her full-time job. So I wanted to stress that. This is a new item, has to do with quoting a lead time when a customer is looking for a quote. And so when the customer care team originally launched, at some point it was communicated that we were to give customers a 24 to 48 hour lead time on when they can expect to hear back on a quote. For a couple of reasons. One, our customers are not responding positively to that. They have to wait 2 days and then they have to put their materials together for their customer. Now they have a homeowner that's potentially waiting 4 or 5 days, our complete business week, and there's just so much concern over the contractors. Our contractors losing their customer. That kind of time frame just is not. It's not a good thing to quote, basically. Also, I checked with the branches, or the regionals rather, and talked about, what do the branches do when a customer calls or comes in and asks for a quote? Do they give them a 24 to 48 hour lead time? And they do not. So it's important for us to be as consistent as possible with how the branch is doing things, and then to have conversations, because maybe in some ways there's the customer care teams handling it better, and we can get the branch on board with how we're doing something. Or in this case, really support, and the regionals and I agreed that it makes more sense for us to mirror what the branch is doing in way of giving that lead time. So effective immediately, we should not be quoting a 24 to 48 hour lead time when providing quotes for our customers. What we should do instead is similar to what the branch is doing, is to ask them, when do they need this quote by? And then based off of that, to do our absolute best to meet the expectations and needs of the customer. So I know that customer care, managing admin time, incoming calls, and so forth, that you may feel challenged by that, and you absolutely are challenged by it, right? So work with Wanda, work with myself. You'll be able to take the admin you need to get these quotes done in a timely fashion. But really, it's when do you need the quote, and do our best to get it to them within that time frame. And then if you feel that you can't get it to them in that time frame, that's when it's up to you to reach out to Wanda and I and say, okay, well, I need help. Maybe we rely on a team member, or we look at, call volume and say, okay, with this time, lunches are over. It's a good block of time to take some admin time to work on that. So we'll work with you on that. But it's just really important that we're on the same page with how the branch is handling this, and not giving 24 to 48 hours, having it be based on the needs of the customer. Let me know if you have any questions on that, okay? Cross that one off. Change with Reeve and Therma-Tru. Once I get more information on that, I can certainly share it. But just know that I just wanted to flag that as something that went into effect this week, that there are certain products and options that will no longer be available to order within Centerpoint, so that you'll need to go to Reeve in order to order those. I've been told there's a price difference, so that's a conversation you may need to navigate with our customers. But the idea is that when you take a Therma-Tru order, that you place that order in Centerpoint, and then if you come upon an item that is no longer available, then it will necessitate you then going to Reeve, I think it's 2G, to enter the order there. I know it's not ideal. It's yet another layer of ordering process that we have to cope with, but it is what it is. And I've been told that these items that we've discontinued on the manufacturing side are fairly low volume items. So that's kind of the mindset behind it, is so that they can focus more on the high volume items and not so much the low volume ones. So communicate to me directly concerns and questions about this. But yeah, it is what it is. It's effective this week. Let me know if you have questions. Stats. So yesterday I sent out the individual call stats for August, very similar to what you would have received for July. Actually combine them onto one spreadsheet for you, so there'll be a tab for each month going forward. And in this fashion, on a monthly basis, at least for now, I'll be sending you that scorecard updated with the previous month's performance stats. So I also wanted to stress that I'm going to be calling everybody over the next week plus. For those that are remote, for those in the London area, probably just schedule a meeting with you guys one-on-one. But we will have the opportunity the next week or so to really talk about these stats. And I want to be able to address any questions or concerns that you have, just as was last month. And for the foreseeable future, at least until we get through this busy season, these stats are really informative, right? They are to let you know how you're doing compared to your peers. So a group of other customer care reps within your region that have worked similar hours. So what is the average among that group, and where do you fall in within that average? I've decided to highlight certain areas, red, green. I think I may even have some yellows, which are things that, just are worth you taking a second look at. Like, notice that your not ready time is significantly higher than the rest of the team. What led to that? What contributed to that? Get you thinking about that, get us talking about that. Again, informative, right? And also you'll see some green in there, like, hey, your number of transfers is significantly lower than the rest of your team. Good job there. What's working? How is that happening? We're going to learn from each other. And then by doing this over a period of weeks and maybe even months, it'll help us to develop ultimately what the metrics program will look like, right? What's fair, what's achievable, and that kind of thing. So it's informative. Ask questions. If you have an immediate question, I'm certainly receptive to it. If not, know that I will be reaching out to you either via phone or in person to have a little one-on-one time to check in to see how you're doing and to also address any questions you have about that. The email went out about the new bonus program with instructions on how to sign that electronically. So just want to flag you to make sure you take care of that. And then last but not least, it's been about a couple of weeks now since we've had the branches on board on this, team effort to help with our call handling. And we're definitely noticing a difference, right? I think our call handling has been the best that it's been definitely in the last month that I've been here. So it's really great to see that team effort and also your effort. Want to recognize how hard you guys are working and the amount of calls that you're taking. It's definitely a contributor, but I just want to take a second, to pat ourselves in the back. Today, we talked, I have a morning huddle with the regionals where we talk about call handling and we review how the previous day went, and to look at numbers like in the 90s, 93, 95, 93, I don't know that we were 95, but not close, that we're in the upper 80s, lower 90s, and inching our way up to the more ideal state, which is about a 95, 97% handling. Just to see those, all of our efforts reflected in those numbers should feel really good. So I want you to celebrate that and acknowledge yourself and your teammates and the effort, and give yourselves a pat in the back on that. So that's a lot of information. I will put that information obviously in the email as well, as a point of reference. And as with anything that I say and do, if you have any questions, please reach out to me via phone or via email, and I will do my best to get back to you right away. All right. Thanks for all your hard work. Have a great Friday and a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.